Good morning, students. So we here with us have Gauri Das today, and she's an engineer turned HR professional who has a keen interest in human psychology. She is a strategic HR leader with 15 years of experience in crafting and aligning HR strategy with business goals. She supports business leaders and individuals in driving performance and improving capabilities. She is a possibility explorer and supports business leaders in creating possibilities even if there seems to be none. She carries a wealth of experience with both startups and well-established organizations. She loves high energy and growth-focused environment. Some of her major achievements are HR 100 under 40, Top HR Mind India, Growth-Oriented Women in Corporate WICA, and LinkedIn Person the year 2020. She is a TEDx speaker and has also spoken in multiple national and international forums. She is a lead membership for Personal Speakers Association of India, Mumbai chapter. She mentors students and professionals and guides them on being future ready with a possibilitarian attitude. She's passionate about women empowerment and leading Lenin circle called Leaders Lifting Leaders. She loves networking and knowing people beyond their profiles bring her happiness, and therefore she's a core committee member of Navi Mumbai LinkedIn Local. Passion with compassion is her mantra. So without ado, over to you, Gauri.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vatika, for this opportunity and the gracious introduction. Let us begin, and the topic for today is change in culture from this permanent to gig. And this COVID, this pandemic actually accelerated the pace of change, and that's why it becomes even more important for us to understand and for students to know why they need to make this shift, mindset shift, and also a lot of new things which are coming with gig. So let us begin and let's talk about culture first. You can see my slides.
Yes.
Okay, great. So according to us research, it is said that there are 3 things which make a great organization, and they are called as recipe for success. Number 1 is a solid vision. Unless you have a vision, even in your own life, you will not achieve success because you don't know what is success for you unless you have a defined vision. So vision is number 1 thing, even with organizations, when it comes to top 3 things which will bring them success. Second is exceptional execution. An idea is only as good as its execution. I might have a $1 billion idea, but if I'm not able to execute it well, I will not get what I am intending to do. And that's what happens with a lot of startups, that they are excellent at generating ideas. The ideas are, like I said, $1 billion ideas, but the execution is where they need some more improvement and they fail at this stage. And even if you cross these 2, the third thing is exemplary culture. Unless you have a solid culture which can sustain this vision, you will not be able to gain success as an organization. And culture makes headlines. Many of us would have heard about this OOP story, where when they brought in IPOs, they had to mention that there were cultural challenges and they have to rectify it. And it even impacted the money involved. It impacted the business, the bottom line. And that's why exemplary culture is another important ingredient for us. And on the other side, there are companies like Zappos, and it is said that they are a mission, they are not an organization. Now, who would you want to associate with? You would want to associate with unrestrained and aggressive culture of Hoop, or you would want to go with Zappos, because we want to connect with a purpose even as a customer, and I will be coming to it. So this is important of culture and why we are studying culture shift. Now, what is culture? So culture is kind of an iceberg. You see certain things, you see certain policies, the guidelines, the framework, which is above the iceberg. And we think that this is what is culture. That's not culture. It's much more below the iceberg and below the line. And it's all about the beliefs, the mindset, the attitude with which people work is what defines a culture. And that's why it is said that if you want to know culture of the company, don't go to the handbook. Observe, because observation will help you gain a more about culture. Something might be written in the handbook, but how it is actually done is what is culture. Now, a simple example on culture. So this is time of, this is many years ago when my daughter was around 4 or 5 years old. And as you would know, kids get very excited when it comes to going to a party. They will blow balloons and they will eat and cake and all of it. So she was equally excited when the card arrived. So card mentioned that this is a party and this is the venue for party. This time the party will start and this time it will end. And it was a no gift party. So everything was neatly mentioned there and they invited. And since morning, she was all excited and ready to go and buzz those balloons and have those cakes and play those games, magic and all of it. So we discussed that what to wear and no gift party. So the gift was not in question. And I asked her, okay, get me what you like the most and you can wear it. And she went ahead, and kids at this age will have a favorite dress. For us, the favorite dress was her sleeping dress. She brought it to me and she said, Mama, I want to wear this. See how nice it is. It is so soft and warm. I want to wear it. And I told her, baby, you can't wear this. And why I can't wear it was her next question. And I said, you can't wear it because it is not a party wear. And she asked me, where is it written that it's not a party wear and I can't? She went through the whole card and whatever she could read at that age, she tried to figure it out. It was not there. She asked me, is it written anywhere? And I said, no, that's the culture. It's not written anywhere, but it is followed. So it's not only in the organization, even in our personal lives, we do have a culture. We do have certain norms and beliefs which we follow, and they are all unsaid. That's the beauty of culture, that it is unsaid. And that is why you don't look at handbook to know what is culture. You look at people's behavior to know what is culture, and you also look at headlines, because culture makes headlines, if it is good or it is bad. So this is how the visible and invisible portion of corporate culture include. Definitely organizations will have a vision statement or a mission statement, but when it comes to, and their values also, when it comes to following them, walking the talk, whether it is happening or not is most important. Now, this is business impact of culture. This is some data from various studies. Most of it is attributed to Harvard research. $144,000 is cost of bad culture. 220 per day. 223 billion is total cost of wrong culture to the economy. And $7,600 is the cost of, is the money that one wants to forego if they get a good culture in comparison of money. So you are given an offer of $10,600 or $10,000. You will pick the lower one, the 10,001, because you want a better culture rather than more money. So people are okay to forgo money if they get a good culture. Dr. Vartika, can I use Mentimeter and take a poll here? Is that
Sure. And yeah, you can do that. So we'll ask students to give that. Yeah.
So first question goes here, and I'm putting it in the chat box. If I put it in the chat box, it would be
you need to put it in the question answer chat box.
Okay, so there's one, all panelists and attendees.
Correct. So all panelists and attendees.
Okay, so here is first question. ask for one word for culture. How do you define culture in one word? You can click on this link, go to Mentimeter and respond. And I'll show you how is it looking when you are responding to it.
So I hope you are receiving the responses, because the responses only you can see, no Gauri?
Sorry?
The responses only you can see. So
Yes, I'll be sharing the screen.
Sure. But you're receiving the responses, no?
Not yet.
Okay, so students, you need to click on the link and then you need to put on your answers there.
Yes, I have started receiving 2 responses received and I'm sharing my screen now.
So if you're facing any difficulty logging in the link, Vipra, you can type it in the question answer chat box.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, that's a good idea. But I'm receiving responses, so the link is accessible.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I'm unable to share as yet. So 9 responses received so far. Thank you so much, everyone. Please keep them coming so we know what is culture for this group. Can you see my screen, Dr. Vedika?
Yes, got it.
Okay. So this is what we are seeing in terms of culture. It moves from persistence, dedication, belief, tradition, belief coming repetitively, transparency, culture, nurturing, hierarchy, traditions, lifestyle, way of life. Yes.
Status. Somebody said status.
Status. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's
nurturing. Ethical value. Ethics is extremely important. Yeah, so all of these responses are correct. There are no wrong responses because culture is how we live. Like the boldest thing which we are getting here is way of life. So way of life can be different from different people. The only thing which organizations and people and as a future manager you need to remember is culture makes headlines. So if there is no ethics, it will make a headline. Like I said about who, there was Lehman Brothers also, which was in news. There were other banks, like 8 deadly sins was another thing which was said about one of the banks. So culture is making headlines. So when you say that you are an ethical organization, you must be one. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm stopping this sharing screen and we are going back to PPT.
But students kindly respond so we can have more and more students responding to if we have another poll coming up.
Yeah, another one is coming. Yeah, and that would be interesting for students to respond. Okay, so business impact of culture is what we were talking about, and I said that 7,600 per annum up to people are okay to forego if they get a better culture. Okay, third is impact of culture on productivity, on profitability, and share prices. So culture does impact all of it. It's 16% lower, productivity reduces by 18%, and share prices can go low by 65%. So look at the impact of culture on your bottom line, and that's where culture is a business subject. Culture is one of the most important ingredients after vision and execution. 56% people ranked culture and work environment higher than the money paid. We saw that people are okay to forgo money, and in another survey they said that I am okay to put culture higher, 56% higher than money. So my priority, especially this Gen Z and millennials, for them it is much more important. And like I said, all of us connect with brands for purpose. And that is why you would see that so many brands are making a shift. Fair and Lovely became Glow and Lovely. Yeah, why? Because the purpose is now not about fair skin, but the purpose is to make you confident, to make you look presentable. So the way consumer is moving, market also, companies also have to move, and that's where the purpose is very important. Another example, Dove came up with various examples where women were shown in different lights, how they are looked at work, how they are looked at when it comes to matrimony and all of it. Why are these brands coming to our homes? Because we connect with purpose. So when we say that Dove is an organization which promotes women in society, how well we will be connected with them. So 77% consumer will go for a brand which has a purpose, which connects with us. And that's where culture is another important thing, even from the perspective of companies selling it, marketing it. So this is business impact of culture. Now my question again on Mentimeter is, how many of you would be okay to forego money for a great culture? So this is a survey, but let's see what's happening amongst ourselves, amongst this group. I am putting the link here. You got to tell me how many of you would be willing to forego money, some money, in order to have a better culture. So again, you need to click and you got to respond, and I'll share my screen to show responses. So we have got 4 responses so far. I'm sharing my screen here. Twelve responses, and all of us say yes. So the study and the research is actually matching with the set of people that we have in room.
So this question says, Gauri, that even if you don't get salary, you will work for culture.
No, give up some part of it. It's not
give
that
up some part of it. Okay. So we can think that we have good ethical managers coming up. Newbies actually coming up. Good.
Yeah, and that's what appeals the most, Dr. Vartika, to this generation, because for them it's like having a bad manager. The way earlier thinking was baby boomer, I have no other job, I've got to manage, and I have to just say yes sir or yes madam. Correct. But now it's no more existing, and that's where these future managers need to put in more emphasis on how they are leading the team, because they themselves are saying that for a good culture they will forego some money, and that's what they have to exemplify when they start leading the team.
Actually, yes.
Yeah, this is an important aspect for them as a future manager, and making that foundation from today itself. Thank you so much, everyone. We have got 20 responses. We are 55 people here. It is too less, and I hope everybody's net connection is working and you are present in the session. Great. So I'm stopping this and we are going back to the Now we know the business impact of culture, both in terms of how we think, how study has proved it, how it impacts business bottom lines, and how it impacts even consumers. Let's move forward and talk about important components of culture. What is it made up of? So the story of my daughter, what was it? Purpose and values. There are certain values that you don't go out in meeting people in your nightwear. Why? Because you want to look presentable, to give that respect to others. It's not showing off. It's giving that respect, taking the time out to get up, get ready, so that the other person doesn't think that they are here just because of some obligation, right? So likewise, here also purpose and values. Now, another example on purpose, say there is a non-bank or there is a bank which is lending money to small and medium enterprises. How do they project their vision? Do they say that they are here to make money, or they say that they are here to support small and medium enterprises, which will ultimately help the community, help the country? That is purpose. Which one would you connect more with? For sure, the one which shows that there is a larger picture, there is a larger purpose, not making money. Definitely, businesses have to make money. They are not a if they are not a charitable organization, they will have to make money for sustenance. Even charities need to make money, get money from somewhere to keep the ball rolling. But when it comes to profit for organization, for them it's even more important that they make money. But how are they having their purpose? In life also it happens. If we have only purpose to make money, we would not go too far. But if our, because purpose is what keeps us going when time gets difficult. So when there is a difficulty and organization tells you that you are supporting the country, you feel you are contributing. When it says that we didn't make money and the only purpose is to make money, you think I'm here just to give them money. And the whole perspective changes. Second is people. People is another important aspect because organization is made up of people. But culture starts from top bottom. Anything new which will come from top, but it has to be supported bottom up. If something, a policy is rolled out, but people don't support, like you would have heard recently that Google and Apple, they tried calling people back to office from September 1. And there was not much flexibility. Now, 18 months down the line, since pandemic started, people have started getting habituated to operating from home, having that balance, and they rejected this cultural shift. The culture now is work from home and you are productive, but they started calling them to office immediately. I mean, without much flexibility. So this was top down, the decision making was top down. The people involved were senior professionals or senior authority for that matter. But people at the junior levels, they rejected this. And there were protests, there were letters written to the authorities, senior officials, or decision makers. And then finally they had to roll it back and they had to bring in more flexibility. So that is about people. Culture is all about people.
Okay, so here I'll interrupt Gauri because we have one question. Gunjan, because this is what you're speaking, and Gunjan wants to ask question. What the impact of cultural factor affect consumer buying behavior? Like you talked about Dove and you talked about Fair and Lovely.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so it definitely impacts these two examples. We saw it. Likewise, as I said, if it is a bank and they are lending money. Now, if I am a business development professional and I go and I tell the person that, okay, this is the interest rate and this is how I help you and all of it, the impact to the client would be very limited. In place of that, if I tell them this is my purpose to support you because you are a small and medium enterprise and I am here to be with you, I am here to partner with you, the impact would be much more higher because there is a purpose. They also connect because for them it's SME community and we connect because our purpose is to support that community. So whenever there is a purpose involved, which is for a larger good, people will get moved by it. I hope this answers the question, Dr. Valtika.
See, one more question and then we'll continue with your slides.
Sure.
Prince has a question. What may the causes of cultural change? What could be the causes? I think he wants to ask that what could be the causes of cultural change in an organization?
Yeah, so there can be multiple reasons for a culture change. And for that, I was sharing what are the components, because those components will bring in the changes. There can be change of person, change of philosophy. What is a person? Say that, as I said, culture starts from top down. So say, for example, your CEO changes or your group strategy changes. When strategy changes, you have to align your policies to it. So culture will change. When there is a change of person, like we are hearing about HDFC, the way they used to work, or talk about Yes Bank. There was Rana Kapoor earlier, then now there is a new CEO. Talk about Tata's also. They have change of person. And when there is a change at the top, there is change of culture. Third reason can be like They had a very restrictive culture, which was very aggressive. People used to abuse each other and they used to exploit juniors. It changed. Why did it change? One, definitely the CEO changed. A second, it was from outside in, because they were it was impacting their business. They were making headlines for all the wrong reasons. And that's why they had to make this change. It can be within the employee also, like Google and Apple example, where they had to change this, that we are not coming back to work without flexibility, while the culture that they wanted to set was to break, it was to come back. So it can be n number of reasons why culture changes. It can be both within and outside. Also, consumer can be a reason why would you change the culture. Why Fair and Lovely became Glow and Lovely? Because there was a sentiment outside. I hope this is helpful, Dr. Radhika.
Ji.
Okay, great. Let's move forward then. Narratives is the story, like we talked about. How do we, like Apple, it's all about calligraphy. It's about the design, the aesthetics of everything. Why? Because the narratives that Steve Jobs created in Apple were about this. And finally, the leadership. We spoke about some examples that when your senior leadership changes, there are changes in culture, because leadership is the one which is driving the culture. At the same time, it has to be supported bottom up, but it's top down. Culture is always top down to start with. There will be instances where bottom up brings in a cultural change. There is a revolution, but most of the times it would be top down, and hence leadership is another important component for culture. So any change here would bring in a change for culture. Let's look at one of the best cultures that we have in current century. It's called as Zappos. Some of you would have heard about them. It's a retail company for shoes, clothes, and all of it. Tony Shi is was one of the co-founders, and this company, the headline says, they are not a company, they are a mission. They are a place to spread happiness. So when Tony was asked, what do you do? He didn't say we are a retailer. He said that I create happiness at Zappos. And I'm sharing a personal account of someone who visited their office. They pick you up from the hotel itself. And someone would come with a bus and they will pick you up. So my friend who went there to visit their office, he was also picked up, and he was the only one in the bus, and a lady was driving the bus. So he asked him, I'm the only one, why did you come to pick me up? He said, when there is a guest and whether you go to hotel to pick them up or not, you are like a family for us, and that's why I came to pick you up. So this is the culture that they have for customers. Now, when he reached office, he was surprised because this lady is actually front office executive, and she doubled up as this pickup support. Why did she do that? Because Zappos has such a culture which makes people do much beyond their given job description. That's the power of culture. If this kind of culture can be created, there will not be any challenges with productivity. Next step, when he went inside, you would know most of the PR thing would be very restrictive. So companies will tell you can't click this, you can't click that, you can't talk to them. Nothing of that sort happened. They had everything transparent, the number of calls made, the profit made for the day, the number of customers connected with, everything was there, and he was allowed to take a click it and post it on the social media. That sort of transparency. Next, he went to different cubicles, and then people were cheering for him. Can we think of an organization, a business organization, where people will cheer for visitor? They got up from their seats, though it's a call center as well, but they got up and they cheered for him. This is how he was made feel welcome in the office, and that's their culture. Few more stories about Zappos. So there was this man who purchased a shoe for his wedding day, and something happened with the courier and the shoes couldn't arrive. He called Zappos and he said, it's a big day for me and I would not be able to wear those shoes. He was given this another pair of shoes within few hours, upgraded his status as VIP, and also given that the other pair of shoes as well. Another example, this lady She lost her mother. She wanted to replace the shoes, but days passed by and she realized it very late. And this was beyond the regular replacement days. She wrote to them and she not only got the replacement done, she also got a bouquet showing sympathy. That's the kind of connect they have with customers. Vegan shoes, they even have that because there are people who are vegan and they don't use anything which is made up of animals. So they have special category of vegan shoes. And the final story, which will give you total insight into how they take care of their customer service seriously, is about Tony Shi himself. So he had a customer visiting him and they went to hotel and he wanted to have pizza. So hotel said, no, it's we can't serve you pizza. It's already closing hours for us. Tony Shi told him, you called Zappos customer service center and I'm sure they will help you. Now think about it. They are a retailer in shoes and garments. They have nothing to do about food. But the CEO is so confident about customer services that he said to his client that you call and you will be helped. He called and he said, I want to have a pizza. And this customer service guy who picked up his call, he told him, okay, let me help you with this. Obviously, the pizza was not delivered by Zappos because they are not into it. But he contacted 3 places for pizza and placed order for this customer. And remember, Tony, she was not involved. It was not that CEO said that's why it happened. That is the culture. Another thing that comes to my mind, one call went on for 10 hours and 29 minutes. Remember calling those Airtel or whatever customer services we have, and within 15 minutes, the call will drop. The call will get disconnected. And again, to reach out to them, you will have to spend eternity. And here, a call is going on for 10 hours, 29 minutes. And obviously, for 10 hours, 29 minutes, there cannot be a script. So there is no script given to customer service executive. That is the culture, one of the best cultures that we have today.
Correct. So I still remember because I started like long back in 2004 with Convergys, with one of the process there, Capital One, which was the process. So there we had that average holding time, which was being given to a agent. So not more than 7 minutes we were allowed to take the calls. But then 10 hours is a huge time, huge time.
Yeah, and it's always so. Since you are already from this field, you would know what kind of script is given.
Correct,
You can speak only these things, and you can't go beyond it.
No.
And here we have 10 hours, 29 minutes. Nobody can make a script for this much time.
Amazing.
So the empowerment that people think because of this is what makes them double up on the role. Like she also worked as a pickup, supported for pickup, and she's a front office executive anyways. Great. So thank you so much for bringing this insight, Dr. Vatika, and people will be able to relate it more. Thank you. Now let's make a transition from current culture to the gig economy. Now, what is a gig? Gig is something which is not usual. It's a free marketplace. So if I want to work on something beyond my office hours and my company allows me, for which I have no kind of very defined agreement where my benefits are not taken care of. It's just the contract. I am paid for a particular thing, like drivers, Ola drivers, Uber drivers, they can work interchangeably. They can work anywhere because they are paid for per trip. So they work on this, they get their money and the system is closed. In comparison to the traditional way of working, wherein you are paid a monthly salary or weekly or whatever, but there is a defined agreement. You are an employee in terms of laws. You are an employee when it comes to all the benefits. If you are sick, there will be some arrangements. There will be something for social security like your PF or ESIC for medical needs. So this is the difference between gig economy and the traditional one. Now the world is moving towards gig economy. And why? Because there are so many reasons people relate with gig. These are some of the reasons. 48% people think that it's good to balance career and family needs. Why? Because you don't have to report to someone at some point of time every day. You don't have a 9 to 5 fixed schedule, so you have a lot of flexibility. If you have young kids, you can take care of them in the morning and then you start working later on. You can even work in the evening hours because you are given a fixed assignment. Nobody's going to watch over you every day, so there is a balance. For 22% people, it's the only way to make money because they are not in a full-time job. They are not getting one at this point of time. So there are a lot of students who are doing gig. They make websites, they do a lot of digital content, they do digital marketing, and they are making money with that. 55% are for extra money. There are professionals who also go for gig because they make additional money. I have even seen people who work in office in the 9 to 6 time, and then they go work as an auto driver or they work as a Ola driver. Besides, there are knowledge workers also who are supporting with technology, with digital content. There's a lot of things which are happening. 19% are earning while they are looking for a better job. So it's also to get your skills, and that's where it becomes important for you even from today. We have a place where we will talk about what's in it for you, but this is another aspect. And 48% think I am my own boss. There is no one who is controlling over me. I have been given a particular assignment. I got to submit it on this day, and in between, there is no control. So I am happy. Though I am working, it's my own, the things are under my control. So that is why people are loving gig. Some numbers for gig in India. So by 2023, it's said that $455 billion would be the size of gig economy. $455 billion. 60% of organizations are considering gig workers in favor of a full-time job role. Lot of flexibility for organizations also. They don't have to take care of social security benefit. There is no challenge of attrition. There is no challenge of downtime when you hire someone. You have to give them all the training and you have to support them for 1 or 2 or 3 months, depending which level you are hiring people. They will not be productive. But here you hit the road running on day one. So a lot of support for organizations also, the kind of roles which they give, it can be very specialized, for which hiring may be very expensive. For small organizations, they cannot keep on hiring people, they can't keep on increasing the headcount, so they go for gig. And that's where 60% of the organizations consider this. India's gig economy is one of the largest in the world, is said by Economic Survey 2021. So we are already there. By the time you will be out, the number will be even larger, like 23. It would be $455 billion. And there was a survey, so 55% of the head of the companies who were surveyed said that it's a boost for women empowerment and they can be back to work. So that's another aspect, which is diversity and inclusion is talked a lot. So this is another way to bring them in.
So I think, Gauri, only the terminologies are changing, because if I talk to you about in the academics, so we have visiting faculties, which I think because they are not permanent workers, so they would be considered as being employed, no?
Yeah, right. So if they have a contract where there's no contract, there's no fixed contract, yes, they will be part of it. But we were not thinking about it earlier because the percentage was very minuscule, so they were not being considered. But today the number is huge and it's a brilliant example to understand. Yeah, thank you so much for bringing it. Now, which industries are hiring and why are they hiring? We discussed. Technical work is one thing for which there is large hiring. Marketing, creative, the digital content, the administration, even customer services, it is being done, and accounting. So this is in numbers. It's not covering every industry, but I'm sharing some for you to relate to it and also to understand how this number will be achieved, or $455 billion. What is future of gig? So now that gig is already in place for quite some time, like Dr. Vartika said, it was there for ages. but it has been recognized now. There is a term for it, and all of us are talking about it. So, in terms of future, in terms of culture, lots going to change. Gig is now planning to unionize so that they get the stability, healthcare support, because you are your own boss when you are a gig, but when you have a medical need, you have to spend your own money because your employer is not funding for your insurance. When you have a accident, you have to support yourself. Why? You are supporting organization in many ways. So they are planning to do that, and there is a demand to support them with healthcare. In some of the states in California and other US states, some laws have been created, but they are yet to be implemented because there's a lot of resistance to it. Like if a Ola has to pay for everybody's healthcare, the business model itself will fail. So a lot of things are going on here, but this is the future of gig. Age diversity is another thing, because these days, just today there is a news that how things have changed in last 30 years. So they say that the life expectancy today in India is 75 years. Now we retire at 58 or 60. What are we going to do? And there are so many people who are coaches, who are supporting others, who are doing a lot of other things, which is a gig, which is not a full-time employment. And that's where the age diversity is increasing. And compare this to the students that I spoke about, that even they are entering the workforce while they are studying. So here is someone at 20 years, and here is another one who is at 70 years. This is the diversity, this is the spectrum that we are seeing. Adaptation across industries. I mentioned 5 industries. Dr. Vatika already spoke about 6 industry, which is education. It's being done in financial services. It's being done everywhere. So a lot of industries which were not open to this idea are now opening up. And definitely this pandemic accelerated this pace of change. Purpose, brand authenticity. Again, people want to connect with purpose. And when you can show it to gig, because you have to change your business model again to attract gig. Even gig, attracting gig would be a challenge now. And that's how the cultural shift will happen. And the kind of role which are difficult for you, like household chores also. We have some services who can come to your home and they can clean your fan, who can come to your home and they can do gardening for you. And this is an organized service now. Now these people are all gig. There's a plumber which is connected with them. There's an electrician which is connected with them. And you can get your things done very easily. Because I see in my office, I had admin also for my company. And I see that in last 5 years ago, if I had to get the washroom repaired, it would take 2-3 days, because my usual plumber will take time. He will be lazy or he will be overworked or whatever. Now I can call these services and within that day I am able to manage. Why wouldn't I go for these services? Because I have to bring up the service levels. So that is another thing for which future is being looked at. What is characteristic of a gig? So we said that gig is wonderful. You get all the autonomy and controls, and you make money from a lot of sources, and you are hyper specialized, so you command that money as well. But what is required to become a gig? So first is self-starter and finisher. Here you have to start on your own, close on your own. There's no boss over your head who will keep telling you this is how you have to. So you have to be a self-starter. And I've seen people are good in starting, but when it comes to closing things, they find it difficult. And when there is a pressure at work every day, okay, deadline is looming large, you have to do it, people are able to manage. But when it comes to doing things on your own, it becomes really difficult. And that's where changing habits become difficult, because we need to be motivated from within. It's intrinsic motivation which will carry us forward. So this is one thing which a gig would need to have. In demand talent, gig would be hired for a specialized thing or for the admin course, which would not help them make more money. But when it comes to specialized things, they need to have that specialization. They need to know that. So we used to say that you should learn everything, the jack of all trades and master of none. That's not going to work anymore. It has to be hyper specialization when it comes to gig. And in demand skills also. You might know something, but you may have to continuously upgrade yourself on your own. Now, here is the role of HR and here is the role of organization comes into picture. Like challenges, cultural challenges, skill we just spoke about. Who's going to fund their development? And if they are not upgraded, how does it impact my organization? It is definitely going to impact, and that's why we need to bring in a policy, bring in a cultural shift where we pay for even gig employees development, because ultimately their skills are being used for my purposes and I want them to be loyal. See how the shift is happening. On one side we are saying it's gig, it's not related, but I still want my gig to be loyal to me, and that's why I need to invest. Understanding company strategy. If you have a person who is supporting you with a part of your whole project, if they don't understand how things work, they will not be able to contribute much. They need not know everything that a full-time employee needs to know, but in order to cater to that requirement, they need to have enough information about your organization. And that's where company strategy needs to be told to them, and whatever from the whole pie, whatever is required must be told to them. And finally, role evaluation and talent pipeline. Even here, the pipeline concept would come into picture because technology is changing every day. If my gig is not able to support me with that, what am I going to do? If I have a project 3 years down, 3 months down the line, and a particular technology is required, I don't have anything in my pipeline, what would I do? It's just like talent. So there is a cultural shift happening, and companies will need to find answers to these questions before we go full on this gig economy. Dr. Vartika, any thoughts to share here?
Sure. So we have two questions here with the students. So first, how Western work culture is better than the Indian work culture? Okay.
Yeah, so Western work culture, I would talk about 2, 3 continents that I have worked with. It's US, Europe, and Australia. So what I have seen, the difference is they are 9 to 5. But when they are 9 to 5, they are totally invested in work. That sutta break, I don't see it there. And even when I visit their offices, I observe that they are totally into work. But after 5, if you tell them, it becomes difficult. Second thing which is very prominently seen is the way they are candid. So they don't mince words, and that saves a lot of time, and it leads to heartbreak. And when I started working with one of the US-based organization, and they came back with feedback, I was taken aback for a moment because I had that Indian way of working. But slowly, I started realizing, and I also started incorporating it in my way of working. That is another thing. Third thing that I see is mostly not 100%. The teams are much more, they are not as cohesive as we have in India. Yeah. But the way they share their thought, the brainstorming happens much better because the hierarchy is not so much. So here the thought process is I can't go beyond CEO, but then they will object to anything. So one of the instances, which a meeting that I attended, and CEO said something, and then he asked them, "Do you think this idea is making sense?" And somebody clearly said, "I think it's crap because of this reason." So you can tell this to your CEO. So these are 3 things that I would like to mention.
Correct. So can you suggest anything for HR career things we should start from now so as to be in the competition?
Yeah, so we are coming to it. I have a slide on what's in it for me, and that will guide you for that.
And one question, what is more beneficial for growth, a full-time or a gig job?
Yeah, so it's not yes, no answer. It depends on a lot of things. Number one is your purpose and your values. First, identify, is job security your value? If job security is your value, then gig is not for you. But if control is your value, then you have your controls better when you are doing a gig, because you are not answerable to anyone. Very small extent, whatever is assigned, you have to give it back. Like the difference can be seen the way Dr. Vartika mentioned, that the visiting faculty and Dr. Vartika, there is a difference, right? The kind of accountability that she has is much higher than a visiting faculty. So
And
depending
a
on
permanent job will always survive. Like we as an organization cannot survive on gig workers. No?
yes, yeah. So there is place for both. Absolutely. There is market for both. And another thing is, if you are able to update yourself that quickly on your own, because in gig right now, there's no scheme where gig are paid for their learning and development, whereas within the organization will help you to upskill, because that's a requirement for them also. Another aspect would be, what do you want to do? If you want to be in traditional jobs where the movement to gig would take some time, then you have to take this side. And the most important thing, the change which is coming with technology. How many things would be left for us is another thing. And if you want to to become a team leader, then gig is not for you, because you will not have anybody reporting to you. But if you think that as an independent uh, worker, you can work easily and you are happy about it, then you can do it. So benefits and advantages, there are both sides to it. Like Dr. Vartika also said, that organization would not be able to survive on one. And that's where you have to choose what you want to do.
This question, Rachna, I think does ethical value and culture collide with each other?
Does ethical value
and culture collide with each other?
Collide. Yeah, it does happen. And sometimes it makes headlines, like I said. And if you are not true to your ethical values, even employees would not care for you. So say, for example, you say that I want to remain extremely compliant, and every town hall or every meeting that is done by senior leaders, they say that they are very ethical, very compliant, right? Now, a day comes when government says that you cannot allow more than 30% people in the organization. And you'd say, no, no, it's okay. You can come to office. Who is going to watch over? And they are not going to put a fine on us. Where are your ethics? And if you do it, then your employee knows that it's only on paper, and even they will take a step forward. And when it comes to another example can be, you say there is a policy that nobody can have drinks in office. Now these days, all the restaurants are closed, and you say, no, we will have a party in office and we will be having drinks. This is totally unethical when it comes to what you have written in your handbook. So there is a collision, and if the senior leadership is not taking the lead and walking the talk, employee would take the same route, and the respect would be eroded, the ethics would be eroded, and very soon the organization will also be eroded. We have many examples. We have Lehman Brothers, we have Move, we have so many. Even IBM was there to a certain extent, and then they
Yes, so you may continue with your slides. Huh?
Okay, sure. Yeah, so why bother about gig is what we would discuss now, because you are still in college and I'm talking about it. So there are a lot of things. Number one is mindset shift. When we started working and somebody was working for a Tata or Birla or a traditional organization, that was seen to be very secure. And people working for startups were like, why would you work for a startup? There's no security, there's no job safety. So this kind of mindset shift happened when we entered the workforce, and today people want to work with startups because there's a lot of learning there. There's a lot of you have a lot of controls, because there's not large hierarchy. The team size is small, and you learn a lot of things. You have control over a lot of things. Likewise, this time you have to make a shift from working full-time for one organization or working in gig. So that is one mindset shift which will come from the thought process that you have, the values that derive you. And second thing, Sharma ji ka beta to roz ek hi company mein jata hai, and you work for 10 companies in a day. right? So where is the more prestige coming from? That also needs to be identified. So we have to bring in this change not only in our thoughts, but also in thoughts of our families and everybody around, because this becomes a question mark, and when it starts becoming a question mark, we think our decision is not right. We need support. So at least families, this mind shift has to happen for families. Second is, if I decide to go for gig, I need to know from today what is that works for gig. What are those skills which will work for gig? Say, for example, if we take marketing, traditional marketing is not for gig. What will organization hire me for? What will they pay me for? Because definitely I have to pay you much more than my existing employee for that particular point of time, because you are giving me a specialized skill. So you have to bring in that specialization, and that's what helps when you start working on it from today. You have that specialization in you, and organizations will be happy to hire you. Third is, how would you be known to people? When you were in the organization, you had to be known only to decision makers. And we say that who knows me and who do I know becomes important. But here you need to be known in the industry. So the kind of branding for yourself, the kind of networking that you need to do has to start from now. So these are some of the aspects that you need to look at when it comes to gig, because the numbers are telling itself, the way things are changing, it's or the writing is already on the wall that the time is for gigs. And you would think I am an MBA, why should I look at gig? I do have MTech in my team as a gig. So it can be a choice also, that I want to make that extra buck, or I want to work only as a gig. So if MTech can be there, and MBA can be there as well. So this is what one needs to do to make this change happen from today onwards. You need to be ready for a gig culture. So it is all about empowerment when it comes to gig. This paradigm shift empowers us. Like as a gig, we have a lot of control over our day, a lot of control over how we operate, but we need to leverage that to our benefits and give return to the organization that is employing us. I will hand it back to you. Thank you so much, Dr. Vartika.
Thank you so much, Gauri. And it was an enriching session for the students. However, we have few more questions, but I'll sum up with one question. They want to ask about the main challenges for gig workers, most of them. Challenges and social security.
So the question is, what are the challenges for gig workers?
Gig workers and the social security. Neha wants to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, you rightly mentioned, Neha. You responded on your own that the first challenge is of social security, because there, like I said, you meet with an accident and there is no support from anyone. You have to fund yourself, and you have to create things for yourself. That is one. Second, again, if I look for stability, there's no stability in gig jobs. I am working for X today, Y tomorrow. The relationship building, I need to be much more agile. That's another challenge. Because when I'm within the organization, even for 2 years, I need to know how my boss works, and I need to set things up so that my boss knows what I'm doing, and it's all sorted. And I get involved in some project. So the kind of attention that I need to give to things would be 2, 3 things. But here I need to do my own PR. I need to learn on my own. I need to take care of my stuff. Everything is to be done by me. So that is another thing which is a challenge for gig. And there may not be a regular flow of income coming in, because gig would not be available every day. That is another challenge, because in regular jobs, you have a monthly salary coming in on 26th of the month, but it doesn't happen with gig workers. And there can be overwhelming situations also. You can't keep on saying no to business when it is coming in huge flow. So that's another challenge. So there are a lot of challenges, and it's not only at the end of gig. Even organizations don't know how to combine these two things, and there are a lot of answers yet to be created.
Thank you so much, Gauri. We had another question, but I think we are done with the time. But I'll send you the questions through mail, and we'll have another sessions also when the students join up coming up. So they'll start their classes like the induction program will begin from 2nd or 3rd of August. So and then we'll have regular classes. So there we can, and we hope that that you are there with the students again.
Sure.
So
It would
thank
be
you
my
so much.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Great students here because there's a lot of interaction, questions,
Ji.
and I hope they continue to remain agile and they are there to learn and grab things when an opportunity comes. All the best to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.